Storm DJs Podcast.
Welcome to the 30th episode of the Storm DJs Podcasts, the DJ interviews. Today, take a ride through dance music history with web design pioneer turned dance music industry leader, Grahame Farmer. From printing magazines to live streaming on Twitch, he's innovated to help emerging artists after struggling to find his own mentor. Now, Grahame looks to the future, chasing the newest music and continuing his decades-long passion for the underground. Welcome, Grahame Farmer.
The vast majority of people have seen you on the other side, interviewing people rather than being interviewed yourself.
I like being this side. It's fun.
Can you just sort of take us back to, let's say, your first sort of wranglings with dance music and the rest of it, and how that sort of came about?
So I went to Ibiza in 96 or 97. 19 lads, 17-year-olds went, 18-year-olds went to Ibiza, 19 of us. Utterly ridiculous. Like, it was trying to get anywhere. Like, 2 people would be upstairs, 5 people downstairs. Yeah, it was a nightmare. They definitely weren't into the club. They were just we were back then. It was just getting drunk. And not really into the clubs, but I wanted to go to the clubs. So I just kind of went off my own and went to the clubs and found people and went, okay, can I come with you, sort of thing, and went to some cool clubs. Also, then I was at university and I was sort of studying multimedia design back then. Yeah. The .com bubble hadn't burst yet, and that was all exploding around, like all these mad people buying .coms for ridiculous money, similar to what NFT did like a couple of years ago. Like, everything was being stupid money. Yeah. .coms were being stupid, buying for stupid, and I was trying to learn web development as fast as humanly possible because it was just like evolving around you. It was mad. Like, your skills were outdated the next day, let alone social kind of grows now. Like, and you have to keep on your toes with social media, but not even that. Like, that was mad fast. Like, the new things were just being rolled out daily. It was crazy.
Did you feel like you were keeping up with it or outpacing you at the time?
No, do you know what? I got into, there was a web thing back then. It was called Flash, and basically means you could have animated websites and you could build games. And I got into really building games because I did double maths and physics at A-level and really enjoyed that kind of thing. And then with the games, there was a lot of it was like using maths and using physics to work out positions of things and the kind of code structure to how Flash works. So it was really interesting and really I really got into that. And then I built like the online game for Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. And I was working with a developer who built this like mad engine to power all the questions and different questions. And so you couldn't cheat. And it was a full on adventure like that. And then I was working for someone in Northampton doing some software, using Flash, but to make software for like something to do with the leisure industry, basically. I can't remember, it was a long time ago. And that was pretty boring, and it was pretty mind-numbing, and it was like, I just kind of ground out making a living for a few years, and then I went to Turnmills. I'd been to Turnmills already because I was working before I did do this. I was working for a design agency, and that they went under because the .com burst and everything went under then. And part of that, we went to Turnmills, and it was just like a night out, like our Christmas do. I ended up in this club, and I don't even know how. Like, I didn't even know where it was. I didn't know what club it was because I was quite drunk, and basically ended up in this club and absolutely loved it because it was brilliant, as Turnmills used to be. And then a few years later, I found out what club it was and went back there and kind of just bumped into the owner and was like, "Your website's shit." Literally on the dance floor, "Your website's shit. I couldn't find any information about parties." And he was like, "Can you do better?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's not hard. It's rubbish, basically." And basically went into a meeting with him on the Monday. That was on the Friday. This was on the Monday. And then basically got the job, and then turned the website into this like CDJ where you could control which day, and like, you move the CDJ around. It was quite all interactive. It was quite fun. And then kind of started building all the online stuff for the club, and like all the stuff that's now kind of part of event promotion. We were doing that way back. Like, we were literally online marketing, online mail out, like the things that people send out now for online, e-shots and e-flyers for for clubs. We literally designed the standard back then. I actually got one last year. Like someone had designed, and I was like, oh, I used to build them like this. And the person that designed it was someone that I taught how to build them. So we kind of built that standard back there. Like the whole thing with sign up processes for events. We designed that. No one was doing that before us, and we made these sign up pages for events. And now it's like a standard process. You kind of get a load of data, push out some mail outs to it, and that kind of gets your early signups. We were innovating that, like, and didn't even know we were just in it. You know when you think about history and you think world champions and these things evolve around you, and then you're thinking like later part of that history now, and it's quite cool when you think of the grand scheme of things, in 50 years time or something, So that I was doing that with Turnmills, and then obviously I did that for like 5 years, and that was so fun. When you're in your 20s and you're working for a nightclub, it's just, great fun, great fun, great building met loads of people I met there and I still work with today. Loads of them I probably saw at ADE last week, and just really got into being part of dance music and part of the world that is dance music. The club closed around the 16th of March, I think, 15 years ago. I, as part of the closing, I actually DJ'd on the closing party, and actually helped with we were helping with the lineup. But that's the joy of the club, because there's only like 5 of you on the team. Can we book this artist? And it was like, yeah, cool. So I remember sitting in the car with Danny, who owned the club, and I was like, well, you used to have like Chemical Brothers and Fatboy Slim as residents right at the start. Why don't you do that on the Saturday night? And he was like, well, that's a good idea. And he rang Norman Cook and said, do you actually fancy doing it? Last Saturday, closing down. The Chems are doing it too. And Norman said, yeah, if they're doing it, I'll do it, but I don't want to be headliner. They can be headliner. And the Chems weren't doing it. He just basically blagged it. But then he rang the Chems and said, Norman's doing it. Do you fancy doing it? And they were like, yeah, but we don't want to be headliner. He can be headliner. So it's like crazy. Like they're both joint headliner in the end. It's quite cool. But basically, it all happened in a lay-by in a car on the side of the road. It was insane. And then I played warm up in T2, and I loved T2, the second room. And we were there till like Monday afternoon. It finished like Sunday night into Monday lunchtime, I think it finished. And I stayed up in London the whole weekend. Around that time, we'd already started doing Southwest 4. It was so much hard work trying to promote outside events and Turnmills events. They'd make loads of money on the festivals, but they'd lose loads of money on the club, because we were having to spend so much time doing this festival. Like we put together a festival in 8 weeks, unheard of. I mean, in 8 weeks time we're putting a festival on. Okay, well, how do we do that? And we literally had no idea. And we learned in 8 weeks how to put a festival, and we sold out a festival in 8 weeks as well. Like crazy. Now you start in January for August, it's and the lineups are booked now, sort of thing, before the end of the year for the announcing in January. Back then, it was like we were still booking people and having to put it on. It was crazy. Then the club closed, and I'd kind of already been chatting to Danny about data transmission, and we started data transmission as the club closed to kind of help with he was doing loads of external events then, and that was his plan, moving into these big shows, big festivals, but also events around London, which Lock and Load did for a long time up to the pandemic. I don't know I think they're louder now, I'm not sure, but we were working on a load of those events, and that was kind of basically had loads of content from those events, but also there was opportunities to work with Ministry and Fabric, and in a space where there just wasn't. There was dance music news, obviously, because Resident Advisor was going, but they were very in what they do, and they're very good at what they do. But there was a whole other space, so it was just which the music we loved, and we could sit into that space, which we've done sort of ever since. We've done that for now 15 years.
Excellent. So data transmission, where did you sort of conceptualize that from, or was it just like a natural progression from where you were at?
So it used to be a magazine, an actual physical, like we used to do for Turnmills. We used to do these magazines called Data Transmission, and it's basically all of our events in one space, and we'd interview people, and it was kind of like a print thing, but only for 3-month run of events. And then we had that name and that URL, so it was then we might as well take that online and make that the thing and move forward with that. And over the years, it's evolved, and it's done. We've tried things and failed, and done things and worked, and and it is where it is now, which I'm really happy where it is now. And people always ask me now, what's new with data transmission? And I'm kind of like, not a lot. It just kind of does its thing. It just continues doing what it does. We're really happy with what it does, and it's really cool. And we just because we've tried pushing stuff in the past, and it's just people know it for what it does. Which is cool. I like it how it is.
Yeah. So if you had to sort of describe it layman on the street, what is data transmission? From my perspective, there's quite a few parts to it.
An online multimedia magazine, data transmission, the magazine, it's data transmission, the radio station, it's data transmission through record labels. We premiere tracks on our SoundClouds and YouTubes. We have Spotify playlists where we support people's music. And we just like finding new artists, first and foremost, and like writing about new artists. And we've done that so much over the years. We like supporting because then they become a road, 5 years down the road, then we love doing that and finding those people and being the first to write about people. Obviously, we like the big headliners and certain artists. And we
written articles and stuff. Like, have you got a whole team of people who do the writing side of stuff? Or
pre-pandemic we used to, but now it's just me and Shelley, my other half. Shelley does all the drum, bass, and jungle. And I do all the house and techno. Okay. We choose all the music and the premieres. We don't do as much written stuff because honestly, I find it boring as. I'd rather do video interviews. And then that's obviously me doing video interviews for my channels, which we then put on all of the social and put them as a blog post on YouTube. We still do some written interviews. We kind of work with the teams that are doing them to make them happen, or do stuff where it's artists kind of filling in the blanks, basically. To make it super quick and easy because I just don't get as much traction. It's better for me to spend an hour making a video interview and my editor cutting that up into 30 bits of content than it is for me to spend 10 minutes making a written interview, which just doesn't get as many views,
How data transmissions evolved, how do you see sort of technology evolving at the same time? How do you think it's changed, and how do you think that's changed, like how data transmission is presented?
When we started, it was just the magazine was enough and an email database was enough. We didn't jump on Facebook quick enough and we kind of lost out there. I definitely didn't jump on Instagram quick enough and lost out there, but then kind of made up some ground pretty quickly. We jumped on SoundCloud really early. I think I've been on there for 10 years. And we're now like 82 million streams on the main channel. We've got five SoundCloud accounts now. The main one is the House and Tech House one. We've got one for Data Transmission Radio, which is now 60,000 followers. The main one's 180,000 followers. We've got a drum and bass one, which Shelley's built over the last 3 years. And it's now like 40,000 followers. We've got a techno one called Nude, and a couple other ones that are kind of sit in the background. One's for label sort of thing. We definitely jumped on Spotify early and we've got decent playlists. The main one's, again, 25,000 followers, but could be more, could be less, And we kind of, now it's embracing these spaces where we can, like I feel where when we find music, it's better for us to put it in a playlist and you find all the music we love from our Spotify playlist because that's easy places for us to share music quite quickly, Our Premiere series we can upload up to 8 tracks a day across our Premiere series, across all those genres. And that's, again, the music we're loving, we're into and, supporting as the scene, but also there's loads of people we regularly kind of support and regular labels we support.
Yeah, excellent.
Podcasting, we've had a podcast for 15 years. I literally just got to 850th podcast mix series.
That's madness.
One a week, every Monday. And that's mental. Like we've had like mad people on there. I had Moby on there at one point. I had, Carl Cox has done one. I had Disclosure do one. And they did a Vine Lonely one before they blew up. Pink's done 2, and he did the 303 one, and he literally, back then he wasn't very big, and he actually sat outside an internet cafe in Bulgaria uploading this mix for us because he wanted to be live and make sure it turned up on time. Crazy stuff that's happened over the years,
So have you got a sort of list of people that you still need to get on there that you haven't had on there yet, or are you getting close to everyone?
There's a couple of people I'd like again. I definitely would like Carl Cox, but I'm saving that for the 1,000. There's milestones coming up. I'm not obviously 52 a year, right? So that's not going to be for another 3 years. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But it'd be quite nice to have him. But we'll see.
Excellent. Well, that's quite a milestone to have, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And with those podcasts, it's always been essentially DJ mixes, I assume, rather than speaking to the actual DJ themselves.
Yeah, that podcast has always been mixes. We have ones that's one for techno, one for drum and bass, and the main one. But we do I have a speaking one, which again, it's just audio pulled from my interviews. And that's slowly, we kind of went through a phase where I got to about 80 or so, and then I just stopped. And then over the summer, I was like, we've got all these video interviews. Let's just try and, we literally spent a couple of days pulling all the audio off and I've uploaded. So at the moment, there's one a day going out on my own
Wow.
podcast because we had so many. We had like 70 or something, and we were just like, right, we need to get all these out because then we can start the next series. So they're kind of going out one a day at the moment across all the podcast platforms.
Very impressive to look out for those ones. Within all your, I suppose, your interview podcasts, have there been any sort of crazy highlights that you can remember, or any particular moments to think back?
Yeah, the interview ones I've definitely across, because I've done so many now. This year we had Jean-Michel Jarre came on Twitch, and that was quite cool. In fact, that was really cool. We had John Newman, the singer, and that we had loads of people watch that. That was mental. That was really good. But then, I really enjoyed interviewing Mark Knight, because I love Toolroom, and I've known those guys for such a long time. And he had an album out, and I still think that's one of my favorite interviews ever, because I'm into that music so much, and I'm into the artists that are on the label. And it was just, and Mark's obviously a really good speaker because he's on radio a lot, and he's on, he speaks a lot. So I just felt the flow of that conversation was just really, really, I came out of the shed and was like, that was wicked. I was buzzing just because it was such a good interview. I felt it was such a good interview.
What's your current opinion on live streaming and the impact for that for DJs and stuff? I know that live streaming was all about COVID times in my head, but what's your current thoughts on that?
I love it. I literally love it. I think Twitch is a great place for DJs to live stream. I think the platform is so good for DJs, and you can build such great communities on there. And there are DJs on there building mad communities. But also just giving themselves a gig every week, like 2 gigs a week. Some people are doing 4 streams a week, and that's 4 gigs every week. And those people that just maybe they're older, maybe they just want to play and they just want to play some records. Live stream is great, and it's completely acceptable. Like the pandemic made it acceptable for us for you to stream from your house. You don't have to have like a big ass budget. Like I'm in my shed now. It's like it's acceptable to have studios in your house now. And we have to be thankful for the pandemic for that, If I was a DJ, I wanted to get regular gigs. I'd be streaming at least twice a week. I'd be on Twitch twice a week, building an audience. I'm just making loads of content on there. I think Twitch is probably better than some of the other platforms, just because the takedowns don't happen. You keep people on there. There's other DJs on there. The raid factor, like where you can raid, people come into your stream and bring their friends into your stream, so your audience grows. I think it's a great place for DJs.
Excellent. And you mentioned there's no takedowns. What's the current sort of legal position on that? And if it was sort of YouTube or something, they'd be having a field day, like muting everything because of copyright and stuff.
YouTube's been for a big change. As labels, you can now claim the copyright for people that are basically DJs are now creators essentially, and create the DJ now is a creator, and the mix is a creation, and therefore labels can monetize creators' mixes basically. So there's a couple of really good channels on YouTube that have grown up in the last 12 months. Like there's one called Flavor Trip, and I absolutely love what they do. Like they started this time last year. I think they're on like 24 mixes. They do 2 a month basically. And they're now on like 190,000 followers, 22 million streams. They got booked for festivals this summer because they have an audience, and they have an audience that regularly turns up for them. And they're just playing like, cool underground music. They're not getting muted. They're not getting take day. And YouTube's just evolved. Like YouTube realizes that it is a place for DJs. And as a presence, they've been at all the conferences this year, and they've been, really investing in the spaces for DJs because they see it as a good place. There's and you don't get as many takedowns. You just kind of get like your content has been taken by the label or the distributor in most cases.
Yeah, I think from our perspective, like we sort of just gave up on trying to put mixes on YouTube. I'd say it was over like 10 years ago now, because we were just like, this is just so frustrating. You spend all this time recording mixes, you stick them on there, and then wait a few days and they're gone again. It's
definitely changed. And I've done a couple of videos on my YouTube channel about it, and how it's evolved. And in fact, I've got one going up this week on how to upload your new mix and your first mix. And I've been kind of digging into that space more and more. And I've been chatting to YouTube about the legalities, and the labels have changed their thoughts on it, because obviously for labels, it's a great, some of these videos are getting mad streams, especially the big channels like the Circles and the, Boiler Rooms and Defected and bits like that. They've changed their kind of thoughts on it. That this is great promo for people's people's tracks, and by them taking it and muting it, then it's just can affect sales, you know, at the end of the day.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's good to hear that for a positive change, that's for sure. As you're a sort of guru and helper outer and tutor and educator, what's the most common piece of advice you find yourself giving up and coming DJs and producers?
It's because obviously, like I really focus on everything after the kind of record's been made, the learn to DJ, and the kind of similar things are just focus on one platform and doing one really well. When it comes to social media, so many people want to be across every platform, and you're better off just spending all the time and going, right, Instagram's my platform. I'm gonna learn that platform inside and out and make it the best thing I can do and make the best content. And just trying to work out how the best content is, jumping on trends and understanding what content's working on that platform, or is it YouTube and you spend the time on that platform, and then I always think like 80% of your time on that one platform, and the rest kind of the other 20% on just making sure the other ones are kind of ticking along. But just do one really, really right, and understand that you're making content for your audience, not for yourself. So many people just make content and say about themselves and about them for themselves. You know, it's the person that's viewing it, and that's the person that your audience member is the person that's going to watch that content, and they need to be educated or entertained or, you know, inspired to do something from that content.
Definitely. I suppose going back in time again, you mentioned, you know, going out to Ibiza back in '97 or whenever it was, and going to all the clubs that you could get to. Was there anyone out there that really inspired you and pushed you towards sort of working within the industry?
No, don't think so. I think, do you know, I've always wanted to work in this industry because I love dance music. Like literally, I'll get up and listen to dance music. And I've always wanted to just, like when I went for the club, it was because I was doing websites, and then I started the website, and it was because I love dance music. And like some of my closest friends will just go, do you know what this track is, and hum something, and I'll be able to tell them what the record is because I, you know, live in dance music. And now I'm with Shelley, and Shelley's literally the same from jungle and drum and bass, and I'm house and techno. So it's kind of like, it's really nice in our house to be just working on dance music the whole time, you know. But I just always when I was building data transmission, I didn't really have any help, and I've kind of muddled my way through it. And then when I started the education side a few years ago, it was like, because I'd had no help, I want to help as many people now as possible. And I always didn't have I was always trying to find a mentor to help me back then and help me run the business. And I never had one. But now it's like I'm in a position where I can help people, and I can help. You know, that's why I have my YouTube channel, and I push that channel so much that it's about trying to help them understand these platforms and understand marketing, and also understand the fact they need to market their music. They spend this much time making a track, and then no one hears them. And I'm like, well, why didn't you spend the same time marketing them? Here's how you do it, sort of thing. And now my drive is to help people because I didn't have the help.
So you didn't have the help. Was there anyone along your sort of journey who gave you any valuable pieces of advice at all?
No, literally everything I've learned is from, like, everything from the last few years I've been running a business is from YouTube. I did do a course on how to build my course, which was super interesting and really valuable. But that's the first bit of help, and that was only a couple of years ago, like 13 years into working. You know, I've literally muddled my way through and made mistakes, and then gone, how do I get out of this? And made some really bad mistakes, and then kind of still trying to get out, still paying to get out of them. But the rest of it is just suck it and see, basically, and see what happens, and test and learn and try, and just keep pushing forward and getting up and realizing that you're just, you know, you're always learning. And now I spend a lot of time educating myself and reading. I read a lot, and I watch a lot of YouTube, and I dig into subjects and try and find out as much as possible. But that's only been in the last maybe 5-6 years, you know.
Is there anything, I mean, you're obviously quite creative and, you know, entrepreneurial. Is there anything on your list that you're sort of thinking about potentially creating into the future? Well, obviously it might all be hush hush, but is there anything that you're thinking about creating but haven't done so?
Do you know, I really, like, at the moment, DT, I'm really happy with DT. We're trying to build these labels out, which has been fun. I'm definitely still kind of working on a lot of YouTube. I really want to get to 100,000 followers on YouTube. And I just hit 41,000, so still a long way to go.
Mhm.
And also building my course has been so much fun. But going forward, like mixed reality really, really interests me. Like I've never been into VR. I don't see the point of VR being in headsets and being locked down. But the whole mixed reality thing where you can see stuff in the same space you're in, super interesting. I think that's going to bring a whole new challenge to social media once it kind of becomes a bit more, global and a bit more, easier and accessible. Like when we get to contact lens versions of, mixed reality content, they're cheap and wearable. That's a whole new challenge there. I'm super interested. I've been gaming a lot with my daughter who's 11, and I'm kind of interested in the whole Roblox space. So you see Adidas and you see Spotify and you see some of the movies kind of cross over and they do these projects in Roblox. I'm super interested in that kind of space where it's like maybe some of the labels move into that space and they do stuff that's quite cool in that space, because then you're kind of bringing a new potential future audience, a future dance music audience. They're the kind of growth spaces, I guess, but also just how YouTube evolves and how Instagram and these platforms evolve and how to really leverage them for artists, for new artists as well.
Excellent. And does the immense and rapid growth of AI at the moment scare you at all?
No. I've been through the internet growing, and I've been through now loads of things growing. I really like it. I really like the kind of, I see it as my new virtual assistant. Like I ask it about trends or what do you think about this and see what it spits out. Like I use it now daily just to, rewrite content and give me different versions of the same thing, because that saves time. Or if I've got a big long YouTube script and I want it as a bullet point, it's something for another different platform, I'll use it for that. It interests me loads, and it's definitely like the whole creation of content. It definitely makes that a lot easier. You still have to definitely put your own space on it, and your own, like, make it sound like you, obviously. But it's definitely a good starter point for stuff as well. I feel like it's like, being able to Google well and get the right results out of Google. It's the same as AI. Being able to AI well and make it do the things you want it to do is now a skill you need to learn, basically.
Yeah, definitely the general sort of assistance side of it, writing, creating. But the other element that I'm sort of thinking about now is music production and how that's going to be affected by it, because it affects us because we're sort of linked to dance music and stuff. Do you have any thoughts about where that's going to go?
Oh, the whole plagiarism side, they need to work that out. They, as in the powers that be, need to work that out, because that's obviously not cool. They can work that out, that's fine. And I'm sure they will do, because it affects loads of people. From a creativity point, I think you just got to try and use it to be creative. And I don't think it's going to affect, long term. I think the people that will get the most out of it, the most ones are creative. I saw a cool meme, and it was about graphic designers and like clients asking AI to do the graphic design work, and it sort of said something along the lines that the client would need to know exactly what they wanted, and they'd never know what they want. It's always back and forth. And being coming from that design world, I thought it was funny that clients never know what they want, and they'd never know what to ask the AI to get what they want. So they're better off working with a person, because they'll do all the grunt work,
They'll ask the right question. You talked the fact that you were you basically live and breathe dance music all day, every day. Is there a point where you sort of have your relax, chill out, no more electronic music, please? Or does it sort of continue the evening into the night, into your sleep?
I start really early and I finish early. I'm one of these ones that I start work at 4:30 in the morning, and then I'm done by kind of 9:30. I go for a run, and I, enjoy going out there and having space and just being out there with a pair of headphones and a watch and my legs. I really enjoy that now. I definitely enjoy going to watch the football, and like I've been supporting women's football now since United had a team. I love doing that. It's good to go and have a shout for sure, and kind of get the fresh stress and frustrations out there. Some days I'll wake up and I'm like, I can't listen to dance music, and I put loads of bands on and just go down that rabbit hole a little bit, and just something different.
Being a parent, the music styles had to vary slightly more the kiddie music when they're a bit younger? Because your daughter's 11 now, did you? I assume that's getting a bit more mature in terms of the music, but I don't know.
Yeah,
You tell me.
I've been taking her. We took her to festivals since she was like 6 months old. Across our house and her mum's house, she's kind of been exposed to so much different music. So her tastes, she actually is into like 80s and 90s. She's just got into Queen, and so her tastes are kind of really, really obscure. And we definitely went through the phase of kid music and kids TV and all that sort of stuff, and and listening to Can I Build a Snowman about 1 million times. Now she's definitely evolving now, and definitely evolving into more adolescent music for sure.
Going back in time to pandemic times, how did you survive that, and how was that for you in terms of all your ventures?
It wasn't. You know what? It wasn't too bad. Well, I worked a lot. We were doing one-to-one coaching then, so we had loads of like coaching students, and there was a lot of DJs that wanted to just push forwards, and they were off work and still getting paid. So I did loads of coaching them. I've stopped doing that now, and I just have my course now. Obviously, I was being a parent at the same time, and kind of being, school and teaching, and kind of trying to work out how to teach a child. We definitely kind of did some of the lessons, but definitely did some other stuff that's more creative, like making YouTube videos. And she started in one of my YouTube videos back then, and kind of was doing filming and editing and all that sort of stuff. It was not too bad. Like we're lots of my friends had their feet up, but we definitely worked and hustled the whole time. I remember running ads, find new one-to-one clients, and that worked quite well.
Yeah.
And just getting creative with what we had available.
In terms of how you work, have you got because of, or I guess you sort of juggling so many things? What's your average day look like? Is it very, very structured, or how do you generally organize your own?
I like block scheduling my time and just putting blocks in for things. I find that works so well for me. Like I do all of work in one block, or I'll get up and go, right, I'm going to write loads of YouTube videos and just sit and write, and then I'll do DT, and then I'll do certain other things like streaming. Obviously, we stream twice a week now, so that's Monday and Wednesday afternoon. Sort of that goes in straight away. My daughter's time goes in straight away. I even put in things like dinner and running, and just so it blocks out my day. And then I'm definitely trying to get more into having big chunks of space that I can just sit and think and be creative. And I went through a period where I blocked out everything, and my week was packed, and I just didn't have the time and space to just sit and think, and what am I doing next? And I'm definitely getting more into being less busy and just more available to be creative. That's for sure.
Excellent. It sounds like you're well organized. And talking probably over our scheduled time anyway, so let you get back to it at this stage. But shout if you've got anything else. I'm very grateful for your time today, and thank you again for joining us to answer our varied and sometimes quite random questions.
Oh, good. It's been fun. The main things are just like join on YouTube. That's the big thing for us. Like, come and follow us, join us on the YouTube. We have 2 videos a week, which to help DJs and producers go forward in their music marketing. We do two demo streams a week and do demo feedback on Monday, Wednesdays. And that's really the place to find us. Like, everything else comes from that place. And we spend so much time on that place now. So come and hang out on YouTube. It's good fun.
Excellent. Well, we'll make sure we add the links in when we put it up as a post as well, linking through to the podcast. So everyone will be able to find you if they haven't found you already. I'm sure most of the listeners will know who you are to start with, so it's all good. But we'll add those links in there for you as well. But it's been a pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
Great to thank you, and enjoy the rest of your Wednesday.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'll see you soon. Cheers for having me.
Take care, Grahame. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.
Storm DJs Podcast.